There is a common search in life for the right opportunity, the right teacher, the right method, or the right conditions. People often believe that success depends on something outside of them, something to be found or given. The Stoics remind us that everything we need already exists within us. The power to direct our mind, the strength to endure hardship, the clarity to make sound decisions, and the discipline to live well are already present. The task is not to search outward, but to cultivate inward. This video will explore 7 ways to unlock the potential within you, grounded in Stoic philosophy and practical reflection. The Stoics did not teach abstract theory for distant application. They spoke of the mind as a workshop of strength. They spoke of the will as a tool that could be sharpened. They spoke of the self as something that could be governed with justice, wisdom, courage, and temperance. To unlock your potential is to realize that success is not a reward that comes from chance, but a practice that begins with mastery of the self. Each chapter will explore a principle of Stoicism that, when lived, reveals the strength already present within you. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Self-Governance. The first step in unlocking your potential is to recognize the power of governing yourself. The Stoics believed that the foundation of strength is control of the inner life. You cannot always govern external events, but you can govern thought, speech, and action. This is where freedom begins. Self-governance is built through discipline. When you wake with a clear intention, when you act according to reason instead of impulse, when you restrain anger and guide it into productive effort, you practice governance. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal that the true conquest is mastery of the self. The battles outside are temporary, the victories within are lasting. Self-governance is the decision to take responsibility for your inner life rather than leaving it unguarded to chance or emotion. A disciplined mind can resist distraction. It can remain steady when others are restless. It can stay aligned with values when pressure pushes toward compromise. This control is not rigidity, it is strength guided by wisdom. Self-governance makes you reliable to yourself. It removes confusion and strengthens trust in your own direction. It becomes the anchor that allows you to return to stability when life feels unsettled. With this anchor, the opinions of others carry less weight, and external recognition no longer decides your sense of worth. This stability protects your peace when criticism or praise threatens to distort your focus. Self-governance also protects your energy. Instead of scattering effort on impulses, you choose where to place attention. You respond to events with clarity instead of reaction. You take control of time by shaping it with structure. The Stoics valued schedules and routines because they created order within chaos. Every repeated act of discipline strengthens the habit of self-control until it becomes the natural posture of the mind. With repeated practice, you come to see that much of what seemed overwhelming was the result of a lack of order, and when order is restored, pressure decreases and direction returns. To cultivate this in daily life, begin by observing your thoughts before acting. Ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my values? Does this action lead me closer to the person I want to become? Practice delaying reactions. Create space between stimulus and response. That space is where self-governance lives. By making small choices of discipline, you train the mind to hold steady under greater trials. Write down moments of success each evening so that you can see the pattern of your progress. Keep a record not only of actions completed, but also of moments where restraint was practiced. In this way, self-governance shifts from an occasional effort to a way of living that strengthens every area of life. It becomes a foundation for clarity, endurance, and purpose, making every other principle easier to live with strength. Chapter 2. The Discipline of Clarity. The Stoics placed great importance on clarity of thought. Clarity directs effort, reduces wasted energy, and allows steady action. Without clarity, the mind scatters. Potential is lost in endless reaction. With clarity, you see what matters, what does not, and how to move forward. A clear mind does not eliminate difficulty, but it allows you to face difficulty without confusion. It transforms obstacles into tasks and decisions into steps. Clarity is cultivated by removing illusions. Many fears exist in the imagination rather than reality. Many desires are shaped by the crowd rather than true need. The Stoics trained themselves to separate appearance from fact. Epictetus taught his students to examine impressions carefully before accepting them as truth. This practice prevents confusion and aligns thought with reality. By testing impressions, you slow down the tendency to leap into false conclusions. This habit builds a mind that is steady, deliberate, and less vulnerable to manipulation. Clarity, in this sense, is not a luxury, but a necessity, because without it, every decision risks being guided by false perceptions. A clear mind evaluates situations without rushing. It distinguishes between what is within your control and what is not. It identifies where your energy will bring results and where it will be wasted. With clarity, you avoid chasing shadows and focus on what produces growth. This is how you conserve strength. The person who practices clarity does not get drawn into endless arguments, distractions, or unnecessary worry. Clarity protects focus, and focus builds achievement. The more often this practice is repeated, the more natural it becomes, until your first instinct is to look for what is true instead of what is assumed. To live with clarity also requires honesty with yourself. You must be willing to face uncomfortable truths about your motives and your habits. Many times, people hide from clarity because it reveals that they are pursuing comfort instead of growth, or recognition instead of principle. The Stoics urged self-examination, not to punish the self, but to refine it. In this process, you begin to notice which impulses are useful and which are harmful. You learn to keep only what supports your direction. This kind of honesty removes self-deception and creates consistency between thought and action. It is difficult to deceive yourself once you commit to clarity, and this brings a rare kind of freedom. To apply this, begin by questioning first impressions. When anxiety rises, ask, what is actually happening? When anger rises, ask, what fact justifies this response? Write thoughts on paper and separate them into two lists, things within your control and things outside of it. By training yourself to see clearly, you build a mind that does not panic, does not waste, and does not scatter. Practice this habit in small matters so that clarity becomes natural in larger decisions. Use it in daily interactions, in planning your day, and in reflecting each evening. When practiced consistently, clarity becomes the lens through which you see life, ensuring that your potential is directed toward what truly matters. It becomes the foundation for wise choices, measured responses, and steady progress. To deepen this practice, extend it into conversations and decision-making processes. Before reacting to another person's words, pause to ask what meaning they truly carry rather than what your emotions suggest. When faced with a decision, strip away assumptions and write down the facts that can be confirmed. This simple exercise reveals how often we build stress out of interpretations rather than realities. A habit of pausing, writing, and clarifying teaches you to filter truth from assumption and strengthens your confidence in judgment. Clarity also grows when you set aside time each day to review. Reflection at the end of the day is a tool that reinforces growth. By recalling where you allowed confusion to guide you and where you maintained clarity, you sharpen awareness for the future. This form of review transforms mistakes into lessons and builds a sharper mind. The Stoics practiced this through writing and contemplation, creating a routine where every day became a chance to refine perception. Another practical step is to reduce exposure to sources of noise. Many illusions are reinforced by constant comparison and distraction. Limiting unnecessary information or influence allows your mind to see more directly what belongs to you and what belongs to others. Clarity thrives in environments that are not overloaded. The fewer distractions you allow, the more easily you can separate what is essential from what is irrelevant. By practicing clarity in thought, speech, and action, you prepare yourself to face challenges without hesitation. You begin to live with a sense of calm direction rather than constant reactivity. Each clear decision strengthens your trust in your own judgment. This trust is what allows you to act decisively and live in alignment with your values. In this way, clarity becomes the steady light that reveals the path forward, guiding your potential into purposeful and focused living. Chapter 3: The Strength of Endurance. Endurance is a central theme in Stoicism. Life presents difficulty, but the Stoics viewed hardship as the training ground of character. Endurance is not passive suffering, it is active strength, the ability to face pain, loss, or challenge with steady will. It is the steady application of willpower when conditions are harsh, the practice of meeting obstacles without retreating into despair, and the commitment to remain firm when circumstances do not bend easily. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that human beings are born for struggle. Just as the vine produces grapes and the horse runs, the human mind is designed to meet adversity. Endurance is natural when we accept this truth. Struggle does not diminish us. It gives us the chance to exercise resilience. By facing hardship willingly, you convert it into a lesson. By reminding yourself that every person before you has endured similar conditions, you see yourself as part of a larger human story. This recognition prevents isolation and makes the challenge feel like a test of your humanity rather than a punishment. The practice of endurance builds confidence. Each time you face difficulty without collapsing, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you believed. This memory of strength accumulates and becomes a resource you can call upon in later trials. Endurance transforms fear into courage and anxiety into steadiness. It builds stability that cannot be easily shaken because it is grounded in lived proof of your own capacity. It teaches you that pain can be endured, that setbacks can be carried, and that your capacity is larger than it first appears. As you endure, you create inner evidence that you can persist, and this evidence becomes the foundation for resilience in future trials. The Stoics saw this process as a continuous training of the will, each challenge acting as another weight to strengthen the mind's resolve. Endurance also extends beyond physical hardship. It includes enduring insult without bitterness, enduring delay without anger, and enduring failure without surrendering effort. These forms of endurance strengthen character in quieter ways. They allow you to remain composed when others would lose balance, and they prevent you from being carried away by moods. Such practice develops the inner stillness that the Stoics valued, the ability to remain upright when external events push you toward collapse. Endurance in these smaller matters trains the same muscles of the mind that are required in larger struggles. It conditions your character to absorb difficulty without breaking, and it creates a steady rhythm of resilience that carries into every part of life. To cultivate endurance, begin with daily challenges. When discomfort arises, hold steady. When tempted to complain, remain silent and act. When faced with delay, practice patience. Each act of endurance strengthens the will for greater tests. You learn that you can carry more than you thought, and this realization expands your capacity for every area of life. Endurance in small matters makes you reliable in greater ones. By making the choice to endure minor frustrations, hunger, fatigue, or waiting, you are training your character for larger battles. This is the preparation the Stoics encouraged, the ability to accept hardship with calm so that it cannot overwhelm you when it arrives. Endurance also shapes how you approach goals. Progress often demands consistent effort without instant reward. The ability to keep moving forward in such moments depends on endurance. It is the strength that carries you through long stretches of effort when motivation fades. This quality creates persistence, and persistence is what allows talent and knowledge to take root in real accomplishment. Without endurance, plans remain unfinished. With it, you stay present and active until results appear. Another aspect of endurance is emotional resilience. Life brings unexpected events that stir disappointment or loss. The Stoics trained themselves to expect challenge as part of the natural order. When hardship came, they reminded themselves that it was an opportunity to exercise the virtues. In this way, endurance is not only about surviving difficulty, but about using it to refine character. Each hardship endured becomes proof that you can stand firm, which makes the next trial less threatening. Endurance also contributes to relationships and community. By enduring the flaws and errors of others with patience, you preserve harmony. By enduring responsibility when it is heavy, you make yourself reliable to those who depend on you. The practice of endurance extends beyond the self. It supports the strength of those around you by showing that stability is possible even when life is difficult. To develop endurance deliberately, create practices that test your patience and discipline. Fast occasionally, walk long distances, or work without distraction for extended periods. These exercises are not punishment, but training. They build confidence in your ability to hold steady. With practice, you begin to welcome challenge as a chance to strengthen this quality rather than as a burden to escape. Endurance shapes identity, turning discipline into a natural posture. It becomes the habit of standing firm when others hesitate and the habit of continuing forward when conditions resist. By repeating this practice, endurance becomes a lifelong strength that steadies every path you take. It gives consistency to your actions, firmness to your values, and quiet confidence to your mind. It becomes a source of dignity, showing that you can be relied upon to remain strong when it is needed most. Endurance also creates a legacy within you. Each test endured becomes part of your memory and character. Each obstacle carried with patience strengthens the story you tell yourself about your ability to last. In this way, endurance is not only for the moment, but for the shaping of your life as a whole. It makes you dependable to yourself and to others, and it allows you to walk into each new challenge with calm certainty that you will not collapse. Endurance becomes both shield and foundation, steadying your choices and reinforcing the strength that already exists within you. Chapter 4. The Practice of Purpose. The Stoics emphasized living with purpose. Without purpose, life drifts. With purpose, life is directed. Purpose is the compass that aligns thought and action, making effort meaningful. Marcus Aurelius asked himself daily, "What is my duty as a human being?" This question anchored his choices and gave him a standard for decision-making. Purpose provides structure when the mind is uncertain and clarity when distractions compete for attention. It removes hesitation by giving you a principle to measure each decision against, and it gives you direction even in moments of confusion. Purpose does not need to be grand. It needs to be clear. For the Stoics, purpose was often expressed in service to reason, justice, and the common good. A person who knows their purpose wastes less time. They know where to invest energy, what to ignore, and what to pursue with persistence. Clarity of purpose strengthens willpower by reducing hesitation. When you know why you are acting, the burden of choice lessens and discipline becomes easier. Purpose acts as a filter that removes unnecessary commitments and focuses energy on what matters. This clarity of direction helps you resist temptations that pull you away from your values and allows you to dedicate yourself fully to meaningful pursuits. A clear purpose becomes a shield against distraction and a torch that illuminates the path forward. It simplifies priorities and makes endurance more natural because you understand the reason behind your struggle. It also provides a sense of identity because the actions you repeat are all linked to a chosen principle. With this identity comes consistency, which reinforces confidence and steadiness in character. Purpose unites the virtues. Wisdom identifies what is good. Courage pursues it. Justice shares it. Temperance sustains it. With purpose, each day becomes a step in a chosen direction rather than a random sequence of events. Purpose prevents distraction by creating alignment between values and actions, ensuring that effort accumulates towards something meaningful. Without this anchor, actions scatter and results lose coherence. With it, every act reinforces identity, builds progress, and contributes to inner stability. Purpose also provides strength when difficulty arises, because you are able to remember what you are working toward and why endurance is necessary. A sense of purpose allows obstacles to become challenges rather than roadblocks, because you measure them against what you are building. Purpose connects daily actions to a broader meaning, and this connection gives steadiness to the mind and confidence to the will. Purpose becomes the reason discipline does not fade, because it keeps attention fixed on a higher aim. It links the small actions of the present with the larger horizon of the future. To apply this principle, reflect daily on your role. Ask, what is required of me in this position, in this moment, in this life? Write a statement of purpose and return to it when distracted. Let it guide decisions, filter desires, and remind you why effort is necessary. Purpose transforms effort into progress and makes potential visible through action. Extend this by reviewing your purpose at the beginning and end of the day, checking whether your choices have reflected it. By linking reflection with purpose, you give direction to each action and turn ordinary days into deliberate steps toward your chosen path. Keep this purpose visible in writing or repeat it in your mind when challenges appear. This habit strengthens focus, ensures consistency, and makes every action part of a larger design. Over weeks and years, this steady practice forges a life that is coherent, principled, and resilient, showing that purpose is not only a thought, but a structure that supports all other strengths. Purpose becomes the framework that organizes energy, guides attention, and creates meaning in every circumstance, making it one of the strongest forces within you. Chapter 5. The courage to act. Courage is the strength to act when the outcome is uncertain. For the Stoics, courage was not reserved for soldiers on the battlefield. It was required in daily life, in speaking the truth, in pursuing what is right, and in facing challenges without avoidance. Courage reveals potential because it turns thought into action. Without it, wisdom and clarity remain unused. It is the bridge between knowing what is good and actually living it. Without courage, even the best intentions remain idle. The Stoics believed that fear is natural but must not be obeyed. Fear signals risk, but it should not prevent action when duty or principle demands it. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Courage arises when you accept this and step forward despite the discomfort. By moving through fear, you discover that it loses its hold on you. Each step you take while afraid adds strength to the will, and the habit of moving forward under pressure creates resilience. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the training of the will to act in spite of it. Fear becomes a teacher rather than a master, because each encounter with it reveals what you must overcome in yourself. Courage is also endurance in motion. It is the choice to continue when results are not immediate. It is the willingness to face judgment when defending your principles. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that life is short and that hesitation wastes it. Courage, then, is not reckless action. It is deliberate action in alignment with reason and duty. It is measured by consistency more than by intensity. The Stoics saw courage not in grand gestures, but in steady decisions that reflected virtue when it was difficult to maintain. Courage protects integrity because it keeps you from abandoning what you know is right when tested. It gives you the ability to remain steady when external pressure tempts you to compromise. Courage, in this sense, is the foundation of trust in yourself, because you know that you will not abandon your values when challenged. Courage also requires persistence in everyday matters. It is shown in choosing to complete necessary work when distractions seem easier. It is found in continuing forward when fatigue suggests giving up. It is visible when you hold to discipline in private as well as in public. These steady acts of courage create a durable foundation that prepares you for larger moments of testing. By living with this discipline, courage ceases to be an occasional burst of boldness and becomes the quiet strength of daily life. Courage also means standing against ease and comfort when they threaten to weaken discipline. It requires acting even when the outcome may cost you recognition or comfort. This steady willingness to endure discomfort keeps your principles alive. Each act of courage, no matter how small, strengthens the ability to face larger trials. It creates a pattern of trust within yourself that cannot be borrowed from others. By choosing courage repeatedly, you confirm your strength and reduce the power of hesitation. You also teach yourself that resilience grows from practice rather than from wishful thinking. To strengthen courage, it is useful to remember that fear often exaggerates the difficulty ahead. By breaking large challenges into smaller steps, you reduce fear's influence and make forward movement possible. Practicing courage in daily matters prepares you for larger tests. When you choose to speak honestly in a difficult moment, resist the urge to hide, or take the first step toward a demanding task, you are rehearsing for greater trials. Courage accumulates in this way, as repeated proof to yourself that you can act even while uncertain. Each repetition is a rehearsal that builds memory, and memory becomes confidence. The more often you practice this, the more natural courage becomes, until it is less an effort and more a way of responding to life. To practice courage, begin with small acts. Speak truth in a conversation where silence feels easier. Take on a task that intimidates you and move into it without waiting for perfect conditions. Record these moments so you can see evidence of your strength. Each act of courage builds the capacity for greater ones. In time, courage becomes the habit of moving forward with clarity, even when uncertainty remains. The practice of courage accumulates like training of the body, where small repeated efforts grow into lasting strength. By living this way, courage becomes not only a response to rare crises, but a daily discipline that strengthens all other virtues. It becomes a resource that supports endurance, clarity, justice, and temperance, ensuring that wisdom and purpose are not just known, but acted upon in the world. This is how courage transforms from an occasional demand into a steady companion of life. Chapter 6. The Balance of Temperance. Temperance is the discipline of balance. It is the ability to regulate desires, moderate appetites, and maintain control over pleasures and pain. The Stoics regarded temperance as essential because without it, strength collapses into indulgence and clarity is clouded by excess. Temperance protects freedom by ensuring that you are not mastered by impulses. A person who cannot regulate desire becomes a servant to it, but one who practices temperance directs life with steadiness. The practice of temperance can be seen in simple choices: eating only what is needed, speaking only what is necessary, and resting without laziness. Each choice trains the will to value sufficiency over excess. Epictetus taught that freedom is not gained by satisfying every desire, but by governing desire itself. This governance prevents dependence and creates resilience. When you learn to restrain the appetite for food, recognition, or comfort, you also strengthen the ability to resist harmful habits. Temperance gives you the space to decide what is useful instead of being carried away by impulse. Each act of restraint reinforces the idea that you are capable of controlling yourself and shaping your direction. Temperance does not diminish life, it sharpens appreciation. By holding back from excess, you allow yourself to value what is present. You enjoy food more when it is not constant. You enjoy praise more when it is rare. You preserve energy when you are not driven by endless craving. This balance steadies the mind and makes endurance easier because fewer desires are competing for attention. A life of temperance has more clarity because you are not weighed down by constant hunger for the next indulgence. This clarity strengthens judgment, allowing you to act with greater precision. By simplifying desires, temperance clears space for wisdom because decisions are no longer clouded by what is unnecessary. The benefits of temperance extend to relationships and work. By moderating speech, you avoid creating unnecessary conflict. By moderating consumption, you remain free from waste and dependence. By moderating ambition, you protect yourself from exhaustion and envy. Temperance does not remove drive, it channels it. The Stoics valued this quality because it kept strength from turning destructive. A balanced person is reliable, steady, and able to sustain effort for long periods without collapse. Such steadiness makes you dependable to others, since they know you are not swayed by every passing urge. It also protects reputation, because restraint demonstrates control and maturity. Temperance also shapes how you handle opportunities and setbacks. When you practice moderation, you avoid being carried away by sudden success or broken down by failure. You learn to meet both outcomes with balance, seeing them as part of the same process. This steadiness makes you effective in leadership, in work, and in personal commitments. People respect those who can remain composed, and this composure comes from the training of temperance. By holding back extremes, you create trust in your judgment and stability in your actions. The reach of temperance extends into mental clarity. By moderating information you consume, you avoid being overwhelmed by distraction. By moderating how much attention you give to the opinions of others, you maintain independence. This form of temperance guards the mind from being filled with noise. It allows you to think clearly, act deliberately, and preserve energy for what truly matters. In this way, temperance protects both body and mind from the cost of excess. A person who practices this moderation develops focus and resilience, since they are no longer scattered by every new influence. Mental temperance creates the foundation for independence of thought and stability of judgment. To apply temperance, choose one area of life where you often overindulge. Set a limit and practice restraint. Notice the freedom it creates. Record how this discipline strengthens clarity and steadiness. By extending temperance gradually, you create a life that is measured, stable, and directed toward growth. Begin with food or speech, then extend to the use of time and the pursuit of recognition. Each success confirms that you do not need excess to live well. By practicing temperance in this way, you create freedom, sharpen appreciation, and build a character that cannot be easily shaken by desire. With repetition, this discipline becomes part of your nature, ensuring that strength is preserved, attention is focused, and every area of life is supported by balance. The repeated act of restraint builds not only self-control, but also quiet confidence, since you know that your choices are deliberate and not dictated by craving. This foundation of self-mastery extends to every decision and gives you stability that endures through change and difficulty. Temperance practiced consistently deepens patience, because you learn to wait without agitation. It strengthens endurance, because fewer desires compete for attention and energy. It develops humility, since you recognize sufficiency as strength rather than lack. This way of living brings unity to your actions and ensures that your strength is not wasted on impulses. In family life, work and solitude, the habit of moderation becomes a steady shield, preventing extremes from breaking your focus. With each deliberate act of temperance, you are constructing a durable framework of self-mastery that remains firm even in uncertainty or loss. Chapter 7. The practice of reflection. Reflection is the tool by which the Stoics refined their lives. Each day they examined their actions, measured them against their values, and identified where improvement was possible. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without it, mistakes repeat and progress is shallow. Seneca wrote of reviewing the day each evening, asking himself what he had done well, where he had fallen short, and how he could improve. This was not an exercise in guilt. It was a method of accountability and growth. Reflection allows you to see patterns in thought and behavior that would remain hidden without examination. Reflection also strengthens other virtues. It clarifies purpose, because you measure your actions against your guiding principles and see whether they are shaping your choices. It strengthens endurance, because you notice where you resisted hardship and where you yielded, preparing you to endure with greater strength the next time you face similar trials. It builds courage, because you face truth about yourself directly, without evasion, and you train yourself to accept uncomfortable realities. It refines temperance, because you notice where desire ruled and where restraint prevailed, teaching you to moderate impulses with awareness rather than habit. Reflection brings all principles together into practice, making your philosophy active rather than abstract, binding thought to action. By connecting daily action with the larger framework of virtue, reflection ensures that progress is coherent and aligned rather than scattered. It also helps you notice contradictions between intention and action, so you can correct them before they become habits that weigh on character. Reflection provides both correction and reinforcement, shaping the mind to act with increasing steadiness and clarity, while deepening your trust in your own discipline and choices. It gives you the opportunity to examine your reasoning, your words, and your behavior as a single whole, so that nothing remains hidden from your awareness. Reflection is also a discipline of honesty. It removes the excuses and distractions that often hide failure and weakness. By confronting your own choices clearly, you gain freedom to change them with deliberate intent rather than excuse. Reflection teaches responsibility, because you see your role in both success and failure and acknowledge ownership of your decisions. It teaches humility, because you recognize the distance between your actions and your ideals. It teaches gratitude, because you notice where you have been helped and supported by others or by fortune. In this way, reflection strengthens character in every direction, creating balance between awareness of limitation and recognition of progress, giving you a full and honest picture of your condition. To cultivate reflection, set aside time daily to review with focus and care. Write down the moments of the day that challenged you, the choices you made, the desires you restrained or followed, and the lessons you can carry forward. Keep this record as evidence of growth and as a guide for correction. Reflection is not passive thinking or idle musing. It is an active shaping of the mind, a form of training equal to physical exercise. Through this practice, you turn each day into a teacher and ensure that progress is steady, directed, and rooted in virtue. By recording patterns, you also begin to anticipate obstacles, since you know what usually distracts you or weakens your will, and you can plan responses. With this foresight, reflection becomes a guide for future action, not just a review of the past. Practiced steadily, it creates a cycle of improvement where each day informs the next, and each decision is more aligned with reason and virtue. Reflection becomes both mirror and compass, showing you what you are, reminding you of where you fall short, and guiding you toward who you must become with persistence and clarity. It also trains foresight, since by reviewing how you responded to challenges, you can anticipate how to respond more effectively in the future. Reflection builds inner dialogue that is honest rather than flattering, helping you see where pride distorts judgment or where fear delays action. It cultivates patience, since repeated review shows that growth is gradual and shaped by consistency. It develops resilience, since you begin to see failures not as final, but as lessons already absorbed into your improvement. By making each day accountable, reflection creates a habit of discipline that strengthens memory, directs attention, and aligns will. It forms a journal of progress that stands as evidence of the character you are building, a record that encourages humility, yet also confidence. In this way, reflection is both examination and encouragement, reminding you that no effort is wasted when it is studied and improved. It becomes the practice that binds each virtue together, keeping your actions grounded in principle and your direction steady even in difficulty.